Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session for today. So today we are going to look at principles and practice of management for KNEC. We are going to go through a question that was actually also tested in November 2022. In November 2022, remember this particular session is coming to you courtesy of RCM Online College. And you can be able to reach out to us by simply being able to call that particular number that is there on the screen. So straight away to the question, which was actually tested in November 2022. So I'll be able to share the question. You'll be able to see it. So it's for principles and practice of management. Principles and practice of management. So this is a course that is in several diploma courses for KNEC. So that is actually under module 3. We have supply chain, business management, cooperative management, human resource, road and transport management, amongst others. So straight away to the question, is this the first question there? Is the first question there, question number 1A. So it says, outline 5 indicators of an effective management in an organization. Outline 5 indicators of an effective management in an organization. So how will you be able to know? How will you be able to know that indeed the management of an organization or maybe a company is actually quite effective? So some of the indicators in that organization, if you're able to look at how that organization actually operates, this is what you'll be able to see if there's actually an effective management. So number 1, there'll be what we call high employee morale. High employee morale. They'll be what we call high employee morale. So this simply means that the employees of that particular company or organization, they'll really be motivated by the manager. So the managers in this case are actually able to motivate the employees. And of course, this leads to high job satisfaction, and therefore they're actually able to deliver on their objectives quite well. So if there's high employee morale, the morale of the employees is actually quite high, then there's actually an effective management in that particular organization. Number 2, there'll be what we call increased productivity or output by the employees. Increased productivity or output by the employees. So effective managers, or basically persons who are quite effective in having to manage, they'll be able to do what we call proper delegation, and therefore divide tasks amongst the team that is actually working in that organization quite effectively. And therefore that will be able to lead to high levels of productivity and actually performance. So we're talking about good delegation or division of duties amongst the employees or amongst the team that is actually working in the organization. If that is what is actually happening, then there's actually an effective management in that particular organization. So number 3, there'll be low employee turnover. So the levels of employee turnover will likely be very low. So there'll be low employee turnover in an organization where there's actually an effective management, or there's actually proper management. Because in this case, if there are proper managers, it simply means that the levels of support to the employees is actually quite high. So there's high levels of support by the managers to the employees, and therefore it creates a good environment whereby the employees can actually be able to work in. So if there's a lot of support, it simply means that there'll be low employee turnover, and the support should be able to come from the management. And then there's also what we call an effective. There should be effective communication. You'll be able to see that the communication in that particular organization is actually quite effective. So this will end up having to build a lot of trust amongst those who are in the management, and of course those basically who are working as the employees. And then also there'll be high levels of goals achievement in the organization. High levels of goals achievement in the organization. This simply means that the managers or the management is actually able to set goals, and of course they're actually able to come up with proper plans as to how they'll be able to achieve these goals. So if that is the case, that simply means that is effective management. There's proper management, whereby if you set a goal, you come up with the plans, you follow through until you're actually able to achieve the goal. Another indicator, there'll be high levels of what we call high levels of financial performance, high levels of basically strong financial performance. They'll be a strong financial performance in that organization, strong financial performance. There'll be a strong financial performance. Strong financial performance comes in, for example, in terms of proper utilization of the resources in the organization, having to properly utilize the resources of the organization by ensuring that, in this case, probably in terms of the assets, they're actually properly being maintained in terms of, for example, the funds of the organization are properly being basically channeled to the right, for the right purpose. There are not any chances of maybe having to incur maybe losses. There's high levels, for example, now in this case, having to be able to put out the products of the company and you're actually able to sell. So an effective management will likely lead to a strong financial performance, whereby the organization will likely be very profitable and actually very stable. And then the last one, there should be what we call continuous improvement. So number 7, which is the last one, in that organization, you'll be able to see what we call continuous. There's an aspect of continuous improvement. This simply means that the managers themselves are basically endeavoring to improve themselves, maybe by being able to ensure they go for further training, or maybe by ensuring that they actually acquire new skills, not only for the managers, but of course, this basically should be cascaded down even to the employees. So each and every time, there's actually an aspect of having to train the employees to be able to improve on their skills for better performance. So if you have all these indicators in an organization, if you can be able to view this one, or basically see these ones in an organization, then it simply means that there's actually an effective management in that particular organization. So we are talking about high employee morale, increased productivity or output by the employees, low employee turnover, effective communication, goals achievement, goals set are actually able to be achieved through plans. There is strong financial performance, high levels of profitability, or basically each and every time there's actually an improvement in terms of financial performance. There's a continuous improvement of the managers and even the employees themselves. So those are basically the indicators of an effective management. So that is the end of revision of that particular question. As I told you earlier, as we started, this particular revision has come to you courtesy of RCM Online College. We do offer NEC courses, and of course, this was a revision for Principles and Practice of Management for NEC that was actually tested in November 2022. If you want to reach out to us, you can simply just be able to call this particular number, and of course, you'll be guided as to how you can be able to join and actually enjoy our classes. Apart from our classes, we also have study texts for these particular courses or maybe units. So with that, we'll meet some other time. Thank you very much for having been able to watch this particular session.